Out. Chapter 67, Part 1. Mark was sick. If it truly was John, and who else could it be, then it meant that it was at least partially his fault that Susan, Kurt, the Watsons, and the people at the ranch had died. If he hadn't pushed John out, all of them would still be alive. I'm sorry. It's all his fault, absolutely. If he'd have killed John, yeah. I mean, the deaths are on John's head, not anybody else's. Anyway, sorry, I've been very good. You got to give me that. I haven't commented. I haven't blathered. And I'm cuckoo. It's been a tough day, shall we say. You're lucky I'm sitting here talking to y'all. Alright. I'll start over. Mark was sick. If it truly was John, and who else could it be, then it meant it was at least partially his fault that Susan, Kurt, the Watsons, and the people at the ranch had died. If he hadn't pushed John out, all of them would still be alive. He had to make sure. He asked Susie if she knew Big O's real name, but she said the band of criminals never used anything but their nicknames. He asked if she knew anything else about the gang leader. The only other thing I know is that he was married. They say he killed his own wife, for defying him. The knot in the pit of Mark's stomach twisted even tighter. He excused himself to go get a picture from John's old house to show to Susie. Once outside, his remorse turned to anger. He may have had a hand in John's predicament, but John had made his own choices. He'd chosen his own path and turned into what he said he feared at the beginning, a monster. When Mark showed the picture to Susie, the look of hate on her face confirmed his fear. He felt guilty for the part he'd played in creating this nightmare. He hoped Barnes would allow him to help in ending it. There was no way Barnes could arrest all 75 gang members without help. He'd probably ask the National Guard to assist him. Perhaps, Mark thought, he'll take me along as an advisor since I've been there. He knew it was a long shot, but he was hopeful. The work on the ditches continued. Gunny pulled all the workers to one side so he could protect them. A team of guards patrolled the side of the field from where the snipers had fired. Gunny also made sure Billy's patrol changed their schedule each day. They'd been using the same pattern each day, and that may have let the snipers plan their actions around the predictable cowboy patrol. The shooting had scared many of the volunteers off, so most of the workers were from inside Silver Hills. Mark helped with the digging. It was hard for him not to relive the events of 2 days ago. He tried to lose himself in the work, but the images of Kurt's and Susan's bodies haunted him with almost every shovel of dirt. Barnes finally showed up in the late afternoon. Mark, Gunny, and Ralph met with him. Ralph had insisted that he accompany them in case Barnes tried any funny business, as the lawyer put it. Mark had expected Barnes to be in a foul mood, but he was surprisingly pleasant as he said hello to the trio. Mark's hopes rose that Barnes would let him help with John's capture. He started to explain why they had called him. "Deputy Barnes, we asked you..." "Sheriff Barnes," the man interrupted. "I beg your pardon?" "You can call me Sheriff Barnes. The county commissioners appointed me interim sheriff until we have a proper election. Seems they want to make it official as soon as possible, too. They're calling for a special election in a month. I expect I'll have no trouble earning enough votes to be the new sheriff, so you can call me Sheriff Barnes, or just Sheriff if you prefer." The man was gloating. Mark was flabbergasted. He looked at Gunny and Ralph, and they both looked as shocked as he was. "Sheriff Barnes," he said, not believing he was saying it, "we asked you out because we've discovered some evidence about Kurt's shooting." "You have you?" he said belittlingly. "And what, may I ask, did you discover?" "Members of a gang from McMullen County shot Kurt. They've taken over a ranch down there and are holding 50 or 60 women hostage. The leader of the gang lived here until a couple of months ago. His name is John Olson, and he escaped after he shot and killed his wife. He came back to shoot me, but he hit Kurt instead. I remember that. You all let him get away, right? You see, that's why you should leave law enforcement to the professionals. Now, because of your bumbling, Kurt's dead. The word stung, and Mark winced, even though he knew Barnes was just being cruel. The statement had some truth to it. He swallowed hard and continued, "We know where he is, and I'd be glad to take you down there." "To do what?" Barnes asked, as if the thought was ridiculous.